Tansy, hello. This is chapter 6 of Fatty Legs. Every time a blackboard was to be cleaned or a floor mopped, the raven was sure to put me to work doing it. I prayed that she would forget about me altogether, but her attentions only grew with the daylight hours. I returned to the dormitory one Saturday night in April after an evening of the raven's education. She was not pleased with my silence at the radio station, and cleaning the nasty chicken coop was how she was going to make me pay for it. My raw fingers stung as I opened the door to an explosion of excitement. Agnes was giddily swirling around her bed. She picked up a leg to show me. "New stockings," she chirped as I pulled my own slouching pair back up over my knees. "Aren't they beautiful? I bet they belong to a fancy Toronto lady. Everyone is getting new stockings." Maybe the outsiders had come to their senses. I might just survive another winter of the raven's education if I could get my hands on some new stockings. I stripped off my old ones and threw them on the pile, praying for a nice black pair like Agnes's. I closed my eyes and waited my turn. The raven swooped in. "I saved a special pair for you," she said. I stared. I closed my eyes again and then slowly opened them wider and wider. I looked to the girls and examined their stockings and then turned back to mine. The raven had played a heartless trick on me. Embarrassment and anger swelled in my heart. These stockings could have never belonged to a fancy lady from Toronto. They're red," I stammered. The raven crackled as I ran to my bed beneath the window. It was bad enough that I was much larger than the other girls, and that my calf muscles were far more pronounced than those of my skinny-legged classmates. But now I had to wear the only bright red stockings in the school. I pulled them on to see if they were really as bad as I thought. They were worse. The stockings made my legs look even bigger than they already were. I stared at my big, fat, red legs. I looked like a plump-legged circus clown. The laughter of the other girls enveloped me. It wrapped a million fingers around me, and it would not let go. As soon as the raven was gone, I pulled my favorite book from underneath my pillow, and I imagined the raven in the role as the Queen of Hearts. The next morning, I crept into the refectory late, my calves on fire in those hideous stockings. A buzz filled the room and swarmed about the tables. I felt dizzy. Every eye was burning into my legs. I wanted to dissolve into my bowl of mush. Catherine turned and pointed. "Fatty legs," she laughed, bits of food spilling from her mouth. "Fatty face," I called back. The raven caught me by the ear. "If you cannot eat nicely with the other children, maybe you'd be happy tending to the dirty laundry for the rest of the week," she said. "Now get going. There's a fire waiting there for you." I could hardly will my feet to move under the weight of my big, fat, red legs, knowing that everyone was getting a good look at them as I sidled down the aisle and out of the door of the dining hall. My chest ached. As I stirred the dirty clothing, a tear escaped my eye. It fell from my chin onto the scalding cast iron vat. Psst! The tear bubbled and vanished with a poof of steam. "Ah," I whispered. In that moment, I knew how I'd stop all this fatty legs business. I only had to wait my chance. For the next few days, the other girls made sounds like the beat of a drum when I walked by. "Boom, boom, boom," they called. They could go ahead and have their laugh at my expense. It would be short-lived. I felt like setting off across the ice and walking home then and there. Catherine teased Agnes so mercilessly one day. For the very first time, Agnes did not pick me first to be on her team at recreation time. My resolve hardened. I could not lose my best friend. The time had come to put my plan into action. Each morning, as I pulled up my red stockings, my spirits rose. All I needed was opportunity. On Sunday, the last day in the laundry room, it came. I looked around to make sure I was alone. The raven usually went to her room after church to listen to the radio. and the brother who helped to stoke the fire had gone out for a cigarette. I stripped off the stockings and in one quick motion shoved them into the blazing fire beneath the vat. The hideous things sizzled and cackled in the fire as they shrank before my eyes and vaporized into a thin wisp of smoke. I smiled with satisfaction. I would not be bested. The raven was about to find out what I was made of, and was she ever in for a shock? She flailed like a fish on the ice when she noticed my bare legs, and she threw her hands up in the air. How dare you enter the dormitory without your stockings? You will be dressed appropriately at all times. Now go back and put them on this instant. I can't, I told her. And why not? I just can't. She could scream all she wanted. It wouldn't bring them back. She rose from the table. Margaret, you go back to your room and get those stockings right now. They aren't there. Margaret Pokekak. Her beady black eyes bore holes into me. I will find those stockings. Rest assured. The hatchlings weren't giggling anymore. Everyone had to help in the search. We tore the crowded dorm room apart and scoured the whole school from top to bottom. We emptied our trunks, and the nuns rummaged through our belongings. The raven had each girl strip her bed and flip her mattress. You'd better tell me where those stockings are, Catherine said to me. Nope, I said. No one's going to call me Fatty Legs ever again. You think you're pretty brave, don't you? She leaned forward and fixed her eyes on me, but I wasn't afraid of her. I stood my ground. You are brave, Margaret, said Sister McQuillan, stepping around the corner. Catherine moved away from me and rejoined the other Gwitchin girls. The swan handed me the key. Go and get your stockings from the storeroom. Agnes met my eyes from where she stood over her upturned mattress, and she smiled. It was time for lights out when I returned with the stockings. I'd have to wait till the morning to put them on. When the morning came, I put on my beautiful, thick pair of gray wool stockings. They were gorgeous. After our chores and prayers, I ran back up to the dormitory, bursting with pride. I danced between the beds, whirling around for so long that I missed breakfast. I was eager to get to class on time, though. I sprang down the hallway stairs like a gray-legged wolf. The raven choked on the claw she'd been nibbling as I strutted my sleek new legs past her desk. Her face turned as red as seal's blood on snow. Sister McQuillan quickly stepped through the doorway and headed straight for the raven. She whispered something in her ear, and the raven blew up like a ptarmigan balloon. Her ears nearly popped off. Then Sister McQuillan tilted her head gracefully in my direction. A faint smile crossed her lips. I knew the raven would no longer be free to educate me as much as she had been. The raven thought she was there to teach me a few things, but in the end, I think it was I who taught her a lesson. Be careful what birds you choose to pluck from their nests. A wren can be just as clever as a raven. And that's the end of chapter 6.